We are indeed focusing on school sport, and we normally talk about the stars at the top of their game who've made it, but why not focus on those who are still trying to get through their skills or hone their skills to try and get to the very top of the sporting food chain. And I'm joined in studio here by a representative of the Department of Sport here in Gauteng, Patrick Motsa. He is the acting schools football director. Thank you so much for your time. We last spoke about the implementation or some of the programs that we spoke about last time we had a chat earlier this year. They were about to happen. Mm-hmm. Some of them have been put in place already. And I saw there's a bit of a structure when it comes to school sport, especially the leagues. Let's start there. We do know some of the leagues, but some we might not know. What are some of the branches of the leagues that you have for schools football in Gauteng?
Okay, thank you very much. First and foremost, I'm responsible for school sport.
Yes.
Which is
not just football.
Not just football. Which is 16 sporting courts and 4 indigenous games.
Yeah.
So in terms of football, football is our popular sporting court. So we have the Wednesday League, which is basically a provincial priority. We're trying to bring back the vibe that was before in terms of in terms of school sport. The Sport Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, but we also have other programs, including the Winter Games, including the OR Tambo Sonchini Games. Some of the footballers went to Italy recently.
Yeah.
And the CAF, which is also an under-15 game, where we just had a final of the CAF, the African Champions for under-15s, which was in Durban earlier on. So there's quite a lot that we are doing in terms of football. But we're trying to bring the vibrancy in terms of school sport in general throughout the year.
And the one that a lot of people might be familiar with is the Motsa Cup. That is also a part of that.
Yeah, it's a sponsored tournament, but it's still a part of the program.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Good that kids are back on the football fields, on the netball courts and everything, playing sport. And also the indigenous games, also important here in South Africa. But let's focus on this Champions League then. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that there's something called the Schools Champions League.
Yeah, as I said earlier on, we are trying to bring back the vibe of what used to be called the Sport Wednesday. So we started with this one very early in the year, where children were playing in their districts, school versus school, and then in the clusters, then district, and then they're selected, which are the district winners. We have various categories according to age, sometimes according to competitions. Others will go to the Sonchini Games, others will represent Gauteng in the Winter Games against other provinces, and these ones are then selected as district winners to play against each other to see who is the Gauteng champion under 15 in terms of football, boys and girls. Yeah. So we call it the Schools Wednesday Champions League. Yes. We're borrowing from the known Champions League. So we want to make children interested in qualifying, playing as much as possible in the lowest regions, so that they can be able to qualify for the Champions League, which this one is inaugural in this era. Yes. But we will have another one in the coming year. It will be much better and much bigger.
We're looking forward to that. In fact, the pictures we just saw there of yesterday's events in Recha Park in Eguruleni. I understand this was the third leg of 5. Yes. Tell us about the first 2. Where were they? How everything took place there, and also touch on yesterday's one.
Yeah, what we did is we play in four regions. I know we have 5 corridors, but we have a way of making sure that in terms of our administration, we are handling it in 4 regions. So the winners, number 1 and 2 of each of the 4 regions, in terms of boys, in terms of girls, we took them to the Champions League. So we are now playing something like a round robin for them, so that by the time we reach the final, which is week 5.
So it's a league format.
It's a league format.
Yeah.
The Champions League, just like your Champions League one, it's in a league format. So we started in the city of Tshwane. We were at Rosina Sedibane, and then we skip 1 week, and then the next week we go and continue. We went to VUT in the south, Valley University of Technology, and then and now yesterday we were in the east corridor, which is Reha Park. So in the next one, which is week 4 or 5, we will be in Soweto. So and then week 5, that's the final. So I'm expecting a huge vibe on the 20th of September.
So the final is going to be contested by how's that? Because it's in a league format. Are you going to get to a point where you get into the elimination stage, knockouts?
I think at this point in time we're not going to do an elimination per se. But obviously, if you can check, we already have a league. Remember, we are using the MySafa app, which gives us an indication of how teams are performing in terms of goals, possessions, passes. The normal PSL app that they use, we're using that. So we will have a team, 2 teams that will be playing at a particular point in time where you won't know which one is going to win at the end of the day. So, but it still follows, but others will be playing for 3rd and 4th, as much as it's not a knockout competition, but it's a point system. It seems like a tie so far. There's a few points difference, so we cannot know for sure which one is the winner.
I saw there's both in the boys and the girls sections. The leader has 10 points. At the moment, Clapham High School in the boys category has 10 points, and Rosina Sidibane has 9 points. So it's very tight.
Close. Yeah, it's very tight. We also are encouraging PSL teams to support the schools. Let's take Clapham for an example. Thanks to Mamelodi Sundowns, they are supporting that school fully. They supported the school, and you can see in terms of the development of the players as well. This is the school that represented us in Malawi, and they became winners of the CAF side of schools. And this is the team that got silver in the Continental as well.
So it shows that Sundowns is involved there.
Yes, it shows, and we're encouraging all the other PSL teams to at least adopt a region and maybe probably adopt a school, and then we can have more vibe going forward.
Yeah, and you spoke about how you started. I think you mentioned Pretoria, and then you went to the Vaal, and then to the east. Now you're going to go to Soweto next. It's nicely spread here. I see the regions where the schools are from. You've got Zondi, and that's in Soweto, obviously Orlando East Soweto. There's Lodium, that's in Pretoria. There's places like Orange Farm in the south. Everton also in the Vaal, Germiston, Alexandra, and that's just for the boys. Meadowlands for the girls. Zola, Orange Farm, Ratanda, Bronco Spray, Soshanguve, Tembisa, Duduza, Nigel. Those are the places that you cover. How important is that for kids in schools across the province to feel included, to be included in your programs?
I think we have a very difficult task to try and make sure that we touch and cover everyone. We are working with the Department of Education. Remember, school sport is not just sport. It is school sport. It is about education. It's about sport. So this is a joint implementation program with the Department of Sport, Sport and the Department of Education. They have 15 districts across the province, and they cover all the areas. And our emphasis at this point in time is what the Premier of Gauteng refers to as TISH, which means township, informal settlements, hostels as well. So it's just that you don't have schools in the hostels, but you have a lot in the rural areas. We have a lot in the, like for an example, we have a school that comes from Kwasokulumo, which is a rural node, which is participating in this in this tournament, and participating very well, very competitive. So we are hoping to get more coming from every corner of the province. Maybe probably as the years go, we can have various streams where we can have a lot coming representing every community. We are also finding a way of making sure that we have a lot of schools coming from the colored communities, the minority communities like your Indian communities as well. We need to like deal
Lodiam.
with it. Yes, yes, Lodiam, yes, and others. We need to have a good balance in terms of the demographics. But we also need to stay true to the fact that we consider football to be a popular sporting code, and we want it to be as strong as rugby as well when it goes to your national squads.
Because the Craven Week feeds the national team, feeds the franchises in the country when it comes to rugby, and we need that when it comes to football. This
is the platform that we are creating to make sure that this becomes the actual feeder of the Bafana Bafana.
Excellent. That's what we love. We want 18-year-olds making debuts for the senior national team. The last and important question from Patrick, the money, because we don't want to be competing for nothing. Well, it's not for nothing because we're developing talent here and human beings in general. But there's actually good money to be won for the schools.
Yeah, well, it goes towards trying to deal with the backlog that we have as a province or as a country, facilities amongst other things, the equipment and attire, which are the enablers for the schools to be able to participate. You can have the heart to participate, but if you don't have any equipment for that, it's a problem. So we are supporting, we're using that to be able to support schools, to make others interested to say, if I go there, I may have an opportunity to get such an amount and be able to deal with my infrastructure, to deal with equipment and attire as well. So thanks to the code, which is Gauteng Schools Football. Remember, we have SAFA, and then we also have a structure for teachers and volunteers that are working in the school sports space. That structure is called the Gauteng Schools Football. They are involved in terms of this, and then we're going to make sure that we enable the environment for almost every school to be able to participate.
What's that prize money?
It's 100,000.
100,000. That's where we leave it. Drops the mic. Patrick Motsa is in charge of school sport in Gauteng. 100,000 up for grabs for children under 15 playing football in Gauteng. 8 girls teams, 8 boys teams across the province.